Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Okay, today we are absolutely strapping in because Formula One is facing its biggest shakeup, really, since 2022. We're talking about the 2026 technical regulations.
Yeah, this isn't just a minor tweak, is it? This is a genuine opportunity. A moment where a team, an ambitious one, could properly leapfrog the grid.
Reset the whole competitive landscape. And our focus today, it's squarely on Aston Martin. I mean, they've poured so much capital, so much talent into this project over the last few years.
It feels like everything's been building towards this specific moment. They got Alonso, they built this incredible cutting-edge campus.
And now, the bespoke engine partner with Honda. So the mission is clear, right? We're diving deep into their AMR 26 prep, and we've got some fantastic insights from Chief Technical Officer ENRICO.
We really need to understand, are they mixing the right stuff right now over at Silverstone? What are the ingredients?
Exactly. We're looking at the facilities, those new buildings, the design philosophy for the car itself, that really interesting dynamic between Adrian Newey and CARDILE'S.
Yep. And Honda. Can't forget Honda and that aggressive approach they're bringing. It's a potent mix.
Definitely. So let's start with the foundations, the actual place. Aston Martin's basically built this, well, factory of the future at Silverstone, hasn't it? Rolling out piece by piece since 2023.
Yeah, it's like a launch pad. This whole campus, this infrastructure, it's the absolute bedrock of their championship hopes for 2026 and beyond.
And right at the heart of that, the brand new wind tunnel, operational since March this year. But here's what really caught my eye from the sources.
Go on.
CARDILE'S mentioned that this amazing state-of-the-art tunnel, well, it's not actually running at its full 100% potential yet.
Ah, yeah. That sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Why build the best if you don't use it all?
Right. Why hold back?
Well, it really highlights just how incredibly complex modern F1 development is. It's not about the hardware being faulty or anything like that. It's all about calibration and correlation.
Okay, explain that a bit more. Calibration and correlation.
So when you bring in these super advanced systems for, seeing and measuring airflow, you need time to properly mesh them with your existing simulation tools, like CFD.
Computational fluid dynamics.
Exactly. And you need to train the people using it. Crucially, you need to ensure that the data you get from the physical tunnel perfectly, absolutely perfectly, matches what your computer simulations are telling you.
And that syncing process, that takes time. We've heard it can take months, maybe even longer.
Oh, easily. Sometimes years. I mean, you hear figures thrown around like Adrian Newey suggesting getting a simulator fully correlated with the real car can take up to 2 years.
Wow. 2 years just for the sim.
Yeah. And a wind tunnel, especially a brand new one with cutting-edge tech, that's another level of complexity. So they have the raw capability, the power, but they're still meticulously, dialing in the precision. It takes time.
Okay, that makes sense. And speaking of capability, the sources confirm something else pretty interesting. Aston apparently built this tunnel to be capable of testing a full 100% scale model.
They did. Which is a huge statement of intent, isn't it? A massive investment.
Even though the current FIA rules restrict testing to 60% scale models.
Yes. Right, and that 60% rule is there for, mainly cost reasons. Full-scale development is just massively more expensive, takes way longer to build the parts. It's a necessary compromise for the grid.
But Aston having the 100% capability, that's future-proofing, isn't it?
Absolutely. It means if, or maybe when, the regulations change down the line to allow larger models, Aston Martin is already there. They don't need a whole new tunnel build. They just adapt their process.
Very smart. Shows that sort of no-compromise thinking.
Exactly. It's a long-term play on the infrastructure side.
Okay, let's pivot from the hardware, the buildings and tunnels, to the thinking behind the car, the philosophy. CARDILE'S initial reaction to the 2026 rulebook. He apparently called it oversimplified and extremely restrictive.
Yeah, which sounds a bit worrying, doesn't it? Like it stifles creativity.
It does. But then he said something else.
The classic F1 twist. He found that paradox, right? He compared it to the 2022 rules change.
Exactly. He said, initially, yeah, the rules look tight, narrow, but once the teams really start digging, really analyzing the detail,
they inevitably find those little gaps, those gray areas, the room for creativity, as he put it. New solutions that weren't obvious at first glance.
So does that mean we're not going to see, 20 identical cars lining up in Bahrain 2026?
Oh, definitely not. CARDILE'S fully expects to see cars with, and I quote, very different philosophies on the grid initially, just like we saw back in 2022.
Okay, good. Variety is exciting.
It is. Each team will have interpreted the rules slightly differently, placed their bets on certain concepts. Now, will they converge later on as the best ideas get copied? Almost certainly. But that initial phase,
Yeah.
that's where a team like Aston Martin can make a jump.
And for Aston Martin, for the AMR26, where does that design process actually begin? Is it the engine, the chassis?
Nope. Cardile was really clear on this. It always, always starts with aerodynamics. That's the absolute priority.
Always aero first.
You read the rules, figure out the best architecture. That includes engine layout, suspension geometry, everything, the architecture that gives your aero concept the most potential to develop. Everything else follows from that.
Okay. Now, the new power units and the movable aero, those are obviously huge development items. But the sources pointed to another massive challenge, maybe an underestimated one: weight.
Oh, yeah. Weight is enormous for 2026. The rules demand the cars be lighter overall.
Lighter. With the more complex hybrid PU and active aero bits, how does that work?
Exactly. That's the challenge. You're adding complexity, adding systems like the active front and rear wings, dealing with a new PU, and you have to shave kilograms off at the same time without compromising safety or structural integrity.
That sounds incredibly difficult.
It is. Cardile stressed it.
Yeah.
Fast car has to be light and strong, hitting that lower minimum weight target. It's arguably just as big a hurdle as getting the PU right, maybe bigger for the chassis guys.
It paints a picture of this intense kind of up and down development cycle. And Cardile actually talked about that, didn't he? The progress isn't just a straight line upwards.
Yeah, he gave a really valuable insight there. It reflects the brutal reality of F1 development. He said, look, for months, progress can feel pretty much linear. You find small gains, 10th by 10th, week after week.
Marginal gains philosophy.
Right. But then, inevitably, you hit a plateau, you struggle, maybe you even go backwards for a bit while you try different things.
And that's when the real breakthroughs happen.
That's often when it happens, yeah. He talked about finding a new concept which unlocks the area, a step change, not just incremental improvement. So the 2026 race isn't just about chipping away, it's about who finds that next big conceptual key first.
Okay, this is where I think it gets really interesting. We're moving into the people, the talent driving this whole thing, the brains behind the AMR26. And hey, if you're watching this deep dive on YouTube, welcome to DRS Zone. Don't forget to hit subscribe for loads more F1 analysis like this.
Good point. Yeah, the human element is critical here.
Right. So let's unpack the people factor, starting with the big one. ADRIAN Newey working alongside ENRICO Cardile. How does that dynamic actually function?
Well, based on Cardile's insights, it sounds fascinating. He describes Newey as the creative spark, the engine moving the development. He's the idea generator, the one who is absolutely uncompromised in pushing for technical perfection.
So Newey comes up with these maybe radical ideas?
Ideas that push the boundaries, challenges that maybe other teams would just say, no, that's impossible.
Okay, so if Newey's the visionary pushing the limits, what's Cardile's role in that relationship? Is he the reality check?
He's the implementer, the translator, maybe. His job, as he described it, is to fully grasp where Newey is heading, understand that vision, and then figure out how to materialize it, how to make those incredibly difficult concepts actually doable for the rest of the technical team.
Making the impossible possible, or at least manufacturable within F1 constraints.
Precisely. It's about channeling that genius into a workable car.
And there was that amazing detail about Newey's process. Still using a drawing board.
Yeah.
In this age of CAD.
Isn't that incredible? Cardile confirmed it. Newey thinks in 3D, completely visualizes the car in his head, but he actually delivers his designs as 2D drawings on paper.
Wow. That's old school.
It totally is. But Cardile explained it comes from Newey starting his career before CAD was everywhere. And he sees Newey not just as one engineer, but like a whole department in one brain. The chief designer, head of aero, vehicle dynamics expert, all wrapped up together with decades of experience.
That's quite a description, like having an entire technical office in one person.
Pretty much. It's a unique way of working for sure.
And to really understand that uncompromised approach, the sources brought up that fantastic anecdote from Red Bull back in 2011, the CARDILE'S battery placement.
Ah, yes, the legendary battery story. It sums up the Newey effect perfectly.
Explain it again because it's brilliant.
Okay, so CARDILE'S needed this heavy battery, right? And it needs careful temperature management. Newey proposed sticking it right between the engine and the gearbox.
Which is like the hottest, most vibration-filled, most hostile place on the entire car.
Exactly. Everyone apparently told him, Adrian, you can't do that. It's impossible mechanically. It'll overheat instantly. purely for packaging and weight distribution for that tiny aero gain.
You can imagine the engineers tearing their hair out.
I'm sure. But Newey just insisted. He apparently produced these detailed 2D sketches showing exactly how they could split the battery into smaller units, how they could route specific cooling ducts through impossibly tight spaces,
Forcing the team to find a way.
forcing the organization to solve a problem they thought was unsolvable, all for a competitive edge that others couldn't easily copy. That's the kind of thinking Cardile now needs to harness and deliver for the AMR-26 at Aston Martin.
That relentless pursuit of performance
Yeah.
and that focus on sort of bespoke solutions leads us nicely to Honda, their new engine partner. Cardile sounded genuinely impressed.
Yeah, he did. Even though he's a chassis guy primarily, he praised Honda's commitment. I mean, they've set up shop right near Silverstone, haven't they? A dedicated UK facility.
And he used the phrase aggressive approach for their PU development.
Which is exactly what you want to hear if you're Aston Martin. You want your engine partner pushing the absolute limits for 2026.
Now, the really big strategic advantage here compared to, say, Mercedes or Ferrari supplying multiple teams is that Aston Martin is Honda's only customer.
That is a massive, massive plus, operationally and technically.
Why is being the sole customer so important?
Think about it. Honda only needs to listen to one voice. They only need to optimize their power unit architecture and integration for one specific chassis concept, the Aston Martin AMR-26.
No compromises needed for other teams with different philosophies.
Exactly. No need to find a middle ground that suits, say, 2 or 3 different car designs. This lets them push development harder, tailor everything perfectly to Astor's needs, and this is key. It allows them to potentially homologate later.
Okay, homologate later. Why is freezing the engine design later such a big deal?
Because the later you lock down your final engine spec, the more time you've had to integrate it with the actual chassis development. You can use real-world data from the AMR-26's aero and mechanical development right up until the last possible moment.
So you maximize that engine chassis synergy.
You got it. Suppliers dealing with multiple teams, they have to freeze their designs much earlier just due to the logistics of building and supplying engines for everyone. Honda and Aston can be more patient, more integrated, more precise. It's a definite edge.
That sense of unity, that focused approach, it seems to carry through to the cockpit too. The driver feedback.
Yeah, another critical piece of the puzzle, the feedback loop from the drivers back to the engineers. Cardile gave some interesting insights there.
He described Alonso as being incredibly numerate, almost like a computer.
Yeah, with a photographic memory. Apparently, Fernando can compare the feel of the current car to basically every F1 car he's driven since, like, the early 2000s. Incredible recall.
And then Lance Stroll. Quieter, perhaps, but effective.
Very effective, according to Cardile. He said Stroll speaks less, but his feedback can be even sharper than Fernando sometimes. He compared Stroll's concise, high-value input style to Kimi Räikkönen's.
High praise indeed. But the most important thing.
The crucial bit. Cardile confirmed the feedback from both Alonso and Stroll is pretty much aligned. They're feeling the same things in the car, describing its strengths and weaknesses similarly.
And for a technical director, that must be gold dust, right?
Oh, absolutely. If your 2 main sensors, your drivers, are telling you the same story, it makes the development path so much clearer. You're not chasing conflicting directions, wasting time and resources trying to please 2 different viewpoints. It streamlines everything.
It's one of those hidden advantages, isn't it? Doesn't show up on a timesheet, but saves huge amounts of effort back at the factory.
Definite. And finally, just touching on Cardile himself, we got a glimpse into his mindset, moving away from maybe a more typically emotional Italian approach to motorsport.
To something more detached? More target-driven?
Exactly. Purely target-driven. He even said that winning only brings satisfaction for maybe 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Then his immediate thought is, okay, what's next? What's the next target?
Wow. That's intense. No time to bask in the glory.
None at all. It perfectly captures that relentless pressure cooker environment at the top of F1.
Yeah.
You hit one goal, you're immediately focused on the next peak to climb.
It really sums up the whole project, doesn't it? That relentless drive.
It does. The journey, the push towards the next objective, that's what fuels the whole machine.
Okay, so let's try and pull all these threads together. Aston Martin, heading into 2026, they've assembled arguably the most potent combination of resources in their entire history.
You look at the list: state-of-the-art facilities, future-proofed wind tunnel, a dedicated, aggressive engine partner in Honda with that sole customer advantage.
2 sharp-aligned drivers giving clear feedback.
And then the leadership duo. The visionary genius of Adrian Newey setting the challenges, backed up by the pragmatic, implementation-focused structure led by Enrico Cardile.
It feels like all the pieces are there, doesn't it? They are absolutely equipped to be a major force in 2026.
They have to be considered serious contenders, yes. The initial excitement, as Cardile hinted, will be seeing those diverse design philosophies hit the track. Seeing how that Newey-influenced architecture, born from that unique 3D thinking, 2D drawing process, actually performs.
They're definitely taking some big swings. Uncompromised approaches for potentially big rewards.
That seems to be the strategy.
So the big question we leave you with, the thing to really chew on, is this. We know F1 designs eventually converge. The grid copies the best ideas. Will Aston Martin's aggressive Honda partnership, their unique Newey-led architecture, will that give them enough of a head start, enough of a performance buffer right out of the gate in 2026?
Or will the established giants, the Red Bulls, the Ferraris, the Mercedes, figure it out and neutralize that advantage almost immediately? Who finds that truly revolutionary concept first, that unlock Cardile talked about?
That right there is the multi-million-dollar question. The race before the race even starts.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
We absolutely cannot wait to see how it unfolds. That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Make sure you are subscribed and following DRS Zone wherever you get your F1 analysis so you don't miss our next breakdown.
Definitely stick with us.
We'll see you very soon.